Alright everybody, welcome to another tutorial video. This is going to be a two-part series on the mailing procedures. I want to split it up into two parts. The first part is going to cover the download of the templates folder and the form setup, that type of thing. Some of you are already familiar with that procedure and how to do that. So you can either stick around for a review or just skip to part 2 of the video series right now. But for those of you that are sticking around, let's go ahead and just go through the download of the templates folder procedures. Again, the templates folder is the folder that you will need. It contains the mailer forms, the letter, the 1015, the database that will provide the information to do the mail merge, that type of thing. So if you remember or have heard, the templates folder is in the same place as a lot of other downloadable folders are for us. It's on this Arbor-Metrics Data Hub. And if your Data Hub is not showing up here on your Smartsheet display as a tab, you can always go to your Home tab. It's probably hiding under your Sheets folder somewhere. And you can click on that and it should pop up. Once it pops up, of course, this is familiar to most of you by now. Scroll down to your miscellaneous files row right here, expand the menu if it's collapsed, and the fourth row down is going to be your templates folder row. Okay, and you can see some information here. We want to click on the paperclip here to search for a downloadable file. We can see that it's a zip folder. Some files are not zipped, but this particular one is. So we're going to just hit the little download button right here. Download this attachment. You can see the tooltip there. And I'm using Google Chrome here. If you're using Explorer, it might look a little different, but either way, it pops up down here on my status bar. By the way, I'd recommend Chrome if you're not using it. It's quicker. It's just a little snappier. There's less added on software to the actual browser itself, so it just runs better. Many of you should have it on your computer as a default browser anyway, so I digress. Once the folder downloads, it shouldn't take long. We're going to click on Open. So I clicked on the arrow here, clicked on Open, and it brings up my, it's actually my Downloads folder. I'm going to click on the folder here, Templates, one time, and I'm going to click on Extract All Files, because again, it's a zip folder. So we need to extract it before we can actually use the files. So we're going to say, yep, show extracted files when complete. But we're going to change the pathway here. And I'm going to just recommend that you click one time here in the box, and then I click again, hold the button down, select this pathway here, and just highlight this much. Leave the C, leave the colon, leave the backslash, but highlight the rest of it, and hit the backspace key on your keyboard. So I just did that, and hit the Enter key on your keyboard. And that's just basically saying that I want that folder to be extracted to my C drive, my parent drive. Incidentally, the C drive is kind of where the brains of your computer lives, more or less. It's the parent folder. It's not your My Documents folder. It's not your My Circuits folder. It's none of that. It's the C drive. It's the parent folder. So don't really need to know that, but in case you're curious. So here it is, templates. It's now extracted automatically, and it lives here in the on the C drive. Okay, so let's go ahead and click on the templates folder. Let's go into it. I just double clicked on it, and the primary folder that you're going to be interested in is the mailings folder. All right, so there's some documents in here that are going to be important to you. Again, this first part is just going to cover the basic setup. We will just make sure that our mailer is actually customized to myself. You will need to probably make some changes to it in order for it to be particular to your circuit, your work area, yourself, that sort of thing. So we'll do that. We'll get into it. Let's double click on the final 1015 mailer template file right here. We'll double click on that to open it. Opens up Microsoft Word. And you should see something like this, especially the first time. So, this form is very familiar to most of you by now. You can change some of the text in here easily if you want to change it. If you're in Maryland, and you want to kind of lighten up on the verbiage a little bit, you can certainly do that. More text is always better, but whatever you feel comfortable with. The important part is that the items that pertain to the property that you're sending for are actually checked. I like to just send with all items checked just to cover my bases. Most people don't care, and if they do care, they'll call you with questions. So you can see that there's some highlighted areas here. Don't worry about that for now. The one area that you will need to worry about is the circuit. And for those of you that have more circuits, you'll need to keep this updated on a regular basis. But you can highlight the text with your mouse, and then just type in the circuit, and it should automatically de-highlight itself. If it's still highlighted, you might need to take your mouse, highlight the text, and then you can come up here to the highlighter function and just select no color. Just pull the little drop down menu there. So just want to make sure you guys don't get jammed up with that. Also, if you can't edit anything, sometimes when you download fresh files or folders from the internet, it will be blocked on the editing functions. The editing functions will be blocked. So there'll be like a little ribbon up here, something that's highlighted in yellow that says enable editing. If you can't click on anything, you can't edit anything, you can't print, that sort of thing, just make sure you have clicked on enable editing. Okay, just a little side note there. I don't know why mine didn't pop up because I just downloaded this, but yours might. It does sometimes. All right, and then if it was me, I'd probably delete this NA here. You can leave it if you want. I like to put poll numbers on once I get the forms back in the mail. I'll just look them up in Arborline and I'll write the polls in. Just a little bit better information. And of course, this information will be hopefully filled out correctly by the property owner that you send the form to. Because again, remember, we're doing letters. And you can fill this in. Sometimes I'll actually put my contact information in. Something like that. I don't know. If you want to put AMS, that's fine. No big deal. And in the actual meat and potatoes of the form itself is the letter itself. Okay. The letter is set up with some fields which are gonna interact with your database. Okay. And we're going to see some column headers and some columns that in your database that correspond to these fields. So you have an owner field here, you have an address 1, you have an address 2. Incidentally, this date code up here is always current. You can see that it actually is showing today's date, December 9, 2016. And then it's fairly a generic letter here. This text has worked well for a number of folks. Just talks about the work that we need to do. Incidentally, there's this physical address field here. I historically have not used this physical address. I'll just make it more generic. And you would, in order to do that, you would actually need to highlight this and just delete the field itself. So I would just hit the backspace key, and I would say, in Berkeley, whoops, let's take the caps off. Berkeley Springs, West Virginia. That's the generic version. But if you want to use, don't necessarily delete this right off the bat. You might come back and delete it later, but give it a chance. I'll show you, what the guys are doing to use a physical address. Okay. Down here, we've got some information that you need to fill out. You need to highlight. You need to fill yourself in here. So I would say, for me, I'd say Jeff Dunn. I would say, utility arborist. I would say, my phone number. 3757, and I probably even put my email address in here, jdunn5@arbormetrics.com. By the way, you don't have to put Arbormetrics Solutions. The Arbormetrics domain forwards to your Arbormetrics Solutions automatically anyway, so it might be a little simpler for property owners. And this is something you could add to your hours of your work hours, so people don't call you after hours necessarily. And of course, some nice logos down here showing who we are, that sort of thing. And if you want to put a signature in here, that's a nice touch. You can hover your stylus. I'm hovering my stylus. You can't see it, but I am. I'm hovering it up over the top of the ribbon, and you can see up here the Ink Tools tool popped up. And I'm gonna select Ink Tools. For some reason, it's not really showing me. So I just wrote on there, as you can see. Put a signature on. For some reason, it's not letting me do color. Try it. Come on. That's not the color I wanted. These things are a little sketchy sometimes. Yeah, just put a little signature on there, and of course that prints out. It's just a nice touch. I mean, I do it because I can. But as long as you have your information on here, that's the important part. I'm going to say stop inking here. I'm going to go back. I'm going to go to my home tab at the top here to get back to my tools. And this is, remember I talked about that highlighting feature? See how this stayed red? You don't want it to be red on your sheet. It's just red to tell you that it needs to be changed. So use your mouse to select it, click down, of course drag it over the text, and then go up here to your highlighter function and select the pull down and just go to no color. See that? Much better. Alrighty, and so that's a letter, and that's the form. Again, these are going to interact with your database, and I'll click on that real quick. I'll probably repeat this little segment just briefly. I'll touch on it in the second video of the series here. So of course you're going to save this file here. I'm going to save it. Click the save button, Control S, file, save. There's a bunch of ways to do it. Alright, and it will exit out of there, top right. And we're going to go into letter recipients. Now this is kind of the brains of your mailing function. Alright, double click on letter recipients. Again, we're in the mailings folder under the templates folder. And it opened up there, kind of. For some reason it's minimized. There we go. Alright, this is a good opportunity to show you the enable editing. See, I just downloaded this thing here, and it's a protected view. If I try to type anything in here, it's not good. I'm typing right now. It's not registering. So I need to click on enable editing. You only need to do this the first time. After you save it, after putting some data and some text in, you're good to go. But this is where you're actually going to have a bunch of information. Now, with the scripts, you've by now hopefully watched the scripts videos, and you know that you can either you can farm data information on the front end when you're actually farming data using the F6 command with the numlock modifier, or you can farm data on the back end using the F8 tool, which I don't know if we covered that in the video. That was kind of an add-on. Some of the folks have been using that function from before on the earlier scripts, and I add that back in for convenience. So that's available to you as well. But the point is, you'll have this information in here. You might have 5 names. You might have 20 names. But you should have an owner, an address to, and this road is actually going to interface with your template file. Now, one thing I'm noticing here, I'm not sure if this was a glitch or what, but the important part of this database is that these column headers that you're seeing here in row 1, circuit, or AL for arbor line number, owner, address 1, address 2, these need to match exactly with the fields, the field designators on your mailing file. Okay, so if we go back to our final mailer right now, this is the file we were just in, double click on it. You can see this is a field, so you can see this AL that looks familiar from your database. I'm going to go back to the database, see the AL right there. That's good, that's what we want. Let's look for some other fields. We got this physical address, and this is what I'm just noticing, and it's making me a little nervous. That physical address doesn't show up on the letter recipients database folder. You see it just says road here. So let's go. Let's make that change. For those of you that actually want to use this column, I typically didn't use it. Again, I made mine more generic, but yeah, it's a nice touch. But you will need to change this text. If you want to use that field on the mailer, you will need to change this to match. So it needs to say physical address. Okay. Otherwise, that field will not interface properly. See physical address. That's what I want. So I'm looking for other. Fields here. Owner. Let's double check owner. Should match. Yep. Sure enough. See that owner. Address _1. Again, all these little characters are important. _1. See, that's another difference. Guys, I'm sorry, I should have caught this the first time around, but I'm pretty certain that you actually need these to match exactly with with what your mailer is using. Okay, so I just added the underscore key on there. If you need to do that, hit the pause button on the video and make sure that that matches. And a circuit. Okay, and let's go back to the form file itself. Now we've typed in the circuit here. I mean, you could theoretically put a field in here that says circuit that would pull data from the database circuit column. I'm not going to cover that here just because I don't want to get this video too long, but there is a way to do it. You can always Google or use the help menus. So that is an option that's available to you. But owner, address _1, address _2, I think we're properly set up now. Got the physical address here again. Again, this is the less generic. And we should be ready to go. All right. So I'm just going to put some dummy records in here. Again, you'll get the data from your Arborline farming, either on the front end as part of the F6 command or the F8 command as well. Either way will get you the same results. So I'm just going to type in things here, guys. I'm going to say Arborline. I'm going to say John Doe. I'm going to say 123 somewhere street and Martinsburg, West Virginia 25404. And we'll say physical address is obviously this guy, we need to send him a letter. He doesn't live there. We're going to say his physical address. We're just going to put the street number and name. So we'll say 456 or 345 Fargo Street. I don't know where that came from. And then 2, we're going to say Jane Smith. We're going to say 345 here and there Street. I don't know where I'm getting this stuff, guys. We're going to say Hagerstown, Maryland. I don't know what the zip code is. 549. Definitely not it, but whatever. And we're going to say that's 105, 103, I guess is what it came out. Deer Leap Court, right? It's deer season. And let's do one more for just demonstrations purposes. We'll do Arborline 3. We'll say Jennifer. What's an easy one? Williams. Yeah, I like it. And we're gonna do 678. Man, I'm drawing a blank here, guys. You'd think it'd be easy to come up with like a street name. Street. How's that for being creative? And we're gonna say Augusta, West Virginia, 45678. Okay. And we're gonna say that actual physical address was 67 Nebraska Street. Okay. And so we've got our 3 names here. Again, these will be automatic for you. Thanks for bearing with me. I thought it'd be important to actually show you the setup portion, so that's why I set it up the way I did, doing these, typing these out for you. But now that we've got our data, we can actually start doing the mail merge. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the video right now. We've covered all the setup items. We covered the setup for the sheet. We made some adjustments to the columns in the data sheet. We've saved. We need to save it. Make sure you save it, otherwise these column headers will not take. We adjusted this information here. And actually, you know what? We could put this in here as well. Let's do that real quick before we cut out. So we're going to say South Berkeley. And of course, we can use our drop down. You can select the bottom right corner and drag down with your mouse. And it's a little trick here, or just Control D, I think, works as well. Or you can just type it out. Okay, so we'll hit the save button. Let's go back. Let's hit the save button on our forms. Let's say that we're happy with the way it is. And I'm going to go ahead and cut the video here, guys. We'll start video 2 here directly.